Anaheim Ducks hockey is brought to you by Kia. Visit mysocalkia.com to learn more. Third time this season, the Ducks and Flames have gotten together. It's the final one before the All-Star break for both teams. Time for tonight's Keys to the Game is brought to you by Honda. With those is our Kent with the Ducks, Trent.
Johnny, thank you very much. Trent, the Calgary defense ranked #1 in the league in scoring. How do you shut them down tonight?
Well, establish a forecheck here first and foremost, and then get pucks to the paint. It's pretty hard for them to be a part of the offense when they have to defend in front of their net.
Trent, appreciate it.
You bet.
All right, Johnny, back up to you.
Thank you so much, Ken. Yoni Ortio, for the 5th straight game, gets the start in net for the Calgary Flames, and what a chance he's had. His coach, Bob Hartley, said this is the best chance he's had at the NHL level. He played 9 games last season. It's the second time he's ever faced off against the Ducks in his career. He got a win last season up at the Saddle Dome against them. And speaking of keys to the game, Brian, Bob Hartley spoke this morning. He said the key for his team was going to be in Anaheim's zone and their use of their speed. So it kind of sounds like both coaches know what they want to do.
Yeah, well, this one I think is pretty darn obvious. There's such a huge disparity in size and speed in the two lineups. Calgary, one of the fastest teams in the league. Anaheim, one of the biggest, most powerful teams in the league. And both clubs looking to dictate play.
And the first chance of the game belongs to Monahan. And a pile up in the crease blocks his shot. That was Jones who was knocked into Anderson. Anderson didn't have his goal stick, and the shot hit Jones. Perry at the other end tries to get it to the Calgary goal. Broken stick in the net behind Ortio. And the puck shoveled out to center ice by Mason Raymond. The referees for tonight's game are Tim Peel and Gord Dwyer. As Raymond tees one up, that'll end up in the seats as a souvenir. The linesmen are Jay Scherers and Mike Sinek.
You see why Calgary is such a high-scoring team. They jump on the attack. And I tell you what, this would have been interesting because Anderson was not allowed to make a play on the puck. There was contact with David Jones and Corey Perry. It ended up hitting the right skate of Corey Perry, or that shot is in the net. Whether or not it would have counted, that would have been a whole different conversation.
I'm not sure the Ducks want to find out.
Nope.
And as a result, still scoreless face-off to the right of Anderson, who is starting for the 30th time in the last 33 games for Anaheim. If anybody can use an all-star break, it's Freddie, who punches that bit away with his blocker. Rolling puck that Palmieri can't get from Kessler to center ice. And now the Flames regroup. Calgary in their own whites with red numbers. They have won their last 5 in a row on the road. In fact, they're the 5th best road team in the entire National Hockey League. As again, the puck is a souvenir.
Good look at Bob Hartley. Calgary, it is quite a story this year. There's an article in the Calgary newspaper the other day, and I thought it summed it up. At the beginning of training camp, Bob Hartley said, when we're in the thick of the playoff race and the room got really quiet because nobody expected that Calgary would be in this one, but here they are, 14 points ahead of last year's pace at this time in the regular season and currently holding down spot number 8.
Josh Juris is out to center the second line. He's got Johnny Gaudreau with him. Juris has missed the last 5 games with an upper body injury. And now it's a bid from Cogliano off the wing that turns into a souvenir, and we've had 3 stoppages of play in the first 90 seconds.
Yoni Ortio has yet to see a shot. You can just see by looking at him, he's not your prototypical new NHL goaltender. He's only 6'1" tall. And, you think of most of the new guys breaking into the NHL. They're all 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". But the book on him is that he is lightning fast, moving side to side. And Bob Hartley has said that what he's been most impressed with is that he's been virtually unflappable in all of the games that he has played in.
Yeah, he was asked this morning what stood out for him, and he said the 2 things were his technique and his confidence. 23-year-old Finnish native. 2 years ago, he led the Finnish Elite League with 54 games played in net, so the workload is not something that he is unaccustomed to. 5th straight start for Ortio. He was just recalled 13 days ago from Adirondack in the American League. He has certainly made the most of his 2 weeks since he came up to the big club. Backed up by Jonas Hiller tonight, as suddenly the Flames have 3 goaltenders in their stable, as Kari Ramo has come off IR as of yesterday. And you can't think, Brian, I know I love bringing this subject up to you. You can't think the Flames are going to stick with 3 for all too long, can you?
Highly doubtful. Takes up a spot on the roster, number 1, and so you don't have as many forwards or defensemen hanging around. I know coaches never like that when they don't have enough spare forwards and defensemen.
Ladislav Schmid is out of the lineup for the Flames tonight as Monahan gets one to the net. Schmid suffered an upper body injury 2 days ago at Staples Center in the overtime win against the Kings. So despite not playing him, they called up an extra defenseman. To your point, Tyler Wotherspoon came up from the American League, but he's a healthy scratch for tonight's game. I thought you were going to bring up the age-old adage of why carry 3 goaltenders, because something about how many nets there are.
Only 2 in practice. A new look on the Anaheim blue line, by the way, for tonight's game is Colby Roback draws back in. It's been a while since he has seen the ice surface for the Ducks. Clayton Stoner is out of the lineup with a lower body injury and nothing major. They just want to allow Clayton Stoner to take advantage of the All-Star break and heal up. They don't want to take any chances. So Roback draws back in, currently paired with Sammy Vatanen. It'll be interesting to see how much he plays in tonight's game.
Yeah, Roback has been a healthy scratch the last 11 games for Anaheim, so some rust certainly expected. Pass into the middle is broken up by Mason Raymond, but he can't keep it on his stick, and Perry clears the zone. No score, 3.5 minutes in. Shots 2-1 for the Flames as Backlund carries it in, and it's kicked away by the skate of Ben Lovejoy. Getzlaf loses an edge at center and loses the puck. Here's Backlund. A diving effort by Lovejoy, and then Fowler got in there, but Backlund still got a shot away. And a good save by the right pad of Frederik Andersen.
That's a big stop. Andersen went for the poke check, actually missed.
Getzlaf on a give and go from Perry, goes backhand. Maroon swings and misses on the doorstep.
What a passing play. Pat Maroon, right at the top of the goal crease, appeared to have a wide open net. I don't know if his stick was lifted or not, but what a glorious chance for the Ducks.
Now it's Kessler breaking out at center ice, and he pokes it past Dennis Wideman into the Calgary zone. He pursues it behind the net. Wideman, who was the hero with the overtime game winner on Monday, loses it. Palmieri gets it to the net. Pileski takes it behind the goal. Ortio swimming, makes a great pass, and Palmieri finishes. Ortio never got his bearings back, and Pileski took advantage.
Kyle Palmieri pots goal number 9, and boy, he is starting to heat up on this second line for the Ducks. Good job by Pileski. Watch him pick the head up here, and he's going to spot Kyle Palmieri, who got away from Russell. And he had half a net to shoot at. Ortio cannot cut the pass off, nor can either of his defensemen. And the Ducks take a 1-0 lead on a pretty little feed from Pileski to Palmieri.
So the beat goes on for Kyle Palmieri, as Brian mentioned. Now he has 11 points in his last 14 games. 6 of those are goals. Pileski will draw the assist, and Anaheim has a 1-0 lead. And as we told you at the top of the broadcast, Anaheim, the only team in the NHL that has not lost in regulation when scoring first this season as the Ducks go offside at the other end.
Tim Jackman having a little conversation down in the corner.
Yeah, that's Derek Engelland. Those two tangled earlier this season in a game up in Calgary.
That was a heavyweight battle. Both players threw a couple of bombs in that one. In fact, an opportunity to see it. It appears that they just don't like one another, John. Well, it started off as a little bit of a dance, and Engelland got his right hand free at the end of it. As Engelland lost his balance, Tim Jackman continued to throw a couple. And that's usually an indication that there is some genuine dislike between the two combatants.
Raquel trying to go up the middle, denied as he got to the Calgary stripe. And the play back to center ice. Lance Boma trying to jam it up the boards for the Flames, but it's taken the other way by Andrew Cogliano. Puts it below the goal line. Quickly moved around by Rafael Diaz, and that'll go all the way back. Diaz getting back into the lineup because of that Schmid injury that I mentioned earlier. Had been a healthy scratch the last 2 games. Now Raquel across the line, joined by Cogliano, who peels back, finds the trailer. Boschman tees it up, blocked by Boma, and that one will go out of play. And Boma a little bit shaken up. after getting a piece of that one. As a reminder, you can enjoy a cold one at any point in time during tonight's broadcast. But coming up later on tonight, we'll share one with you. We call it Miller Time. It's one of the key moments in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Good start to this game and a good pace as expected. In games involving the Calgary Flames, they can really skate. They will exchange scoring chances in order to create offense.
Well, you were talking about Palmieri heating up, Brian. 9 goals in just 23 games this year. Last season he had 14 in what was somewhat of a breakout season for him in 71 games.
We've talked about the retirement of Teemu Selanne, creating opportunities for young players. And Kyle Palmieri is the guy that has always been looked upon as the top 6 forward that was going to become the scorer that could replace some of the offense generated by Teemu Selanne.
Russell curls back into his own zone and plays it across for Weidman. Backlund revs it up. Flames into the Anaheim zone, and Colburn overskates it at the line. Bumped by Lovejoy, loses the puck. Maroon stretches it to Perry. Perry waiting for Maroon to join him, goes cross ice, but the pass a little out of his reach, and Colburn on the back check took it away. Joe Colburn was playing in the middle 2 nights ago in Los Angeles. He's been moved to the wing tonight with Juris coming back into the Calgary lineup. Sean Monahan spins it down low, and Boma is knocked off the puck. Nice play there by Roback behind the net, and it's chopped out by Perry. 7 minutes gone, opening period. The Ducks with a 1-0 lead. Palmieri at .441 from Bolesky, an even strength goal. That is the difference to this point.
Well, we should mention Colby Roback in the lineup. Mark Fistrick was actually put on waivers. He cleared waivers and was sent to Norfolk of the American Hockey League. So that would tell me that Eric Brewer is getting a little bit closer to being an option for Bruce Boudreau on the blue line as well.
Yeah, Brewer skated with his teammates in a full practice for the first time on Monday, of course, with the All-Star break. He's got a couple of doctor's appointments, he told me, that he still has to have over the All-Star break, and hopes to be eligible to return perhaps as early as the first game back. If these teams don't play again until next Tuesday, the Flames will be home to Buffalo. Here's a turnover. Bourque alone in front, and that's deflected. It may have gone off the Flames defenseman in front. I think that was Diaz who got a piece of it. The Ducks will resume action after tonight on the road at Vancouver on Tuesday. Jackman, the former Flame, stepped on the puck on the centering pass from Bourque, but now Thompson has it. Tries to bring it into the middle, and as he fans on it, he then overskates it. And Boma brings it back there. Excuse me, Gaudreau brings it back the other way, dumps it, and the Flames will go for a change.
Duck defense very active, keeping pucks in deep in the offensive zone. That's where Anaheim wants to make Calgary play. They think they're vulnerable down low.
Raquel gloves it down, gets it in, and Silverberg carries on. Centers off the stick of Cogliano. He was parked at the top of the blue paint. Fowler activates and rims it around the boards. Lovejoy holds the zone. Weidman picks it cleanly off the end boards. Nice play by the veteran there, who moves it ahead at center. Dennis Weidman, 12 goals on the year, leads all NHL defensemen. And one more would equal his career high. He now moves it ahead, and back come the Flames to center ice. Matt Stajan caught on the back check, has his stick sawed in half by a slash, and the Ducks are going to go short-handed. The game's first power play will belong to the Flames, but the game's first goal belongs to Kyle Palmieri and the Ducks.
Andrew Cogliano has got to be frustrated. He busted his hump to get back into great positions defensively, and when he slashes the stick of Matt Stajan right there, the stick breaks in half. It's an automatic call for the referee. The dreaded slashing the stick penalty will cost him a couple of minutes.
You know, you were talking about the Flames' size earlier. Very non-Brian Burke-like lineup. One of the other parts is, where's the truculence? They're the 3rd least penalized team in the NHL, and look no further than the season series with the Ducks. This is their 10th power play against Anaheim in the 3 games. The Ducks have been afforded just 3 chances with the extra man. The Flames certainly picked their spots, and they are 1 for 9, or I should say 0 for 9 against Anaheim in the season series with the extra man. Ludler intercepts as Boschman tried to reverse it. Kessler taps it over to Thompson as it comes loose, though. and the Ducks will send it back, and Thompson carries on. He says, if you're going to let me, I'll go, and I'll set up Getzlaf. Short-handed, and already over the big stop.
A huge save on Getzlaf. What a play by Nate Thompson. Picked his head up in the corner, and both Calgary defenders, Russell and Weidman, played that awfully casual.
Well, they both went to Nate Thompson and forgot about the Ducks' only all-star, who was alone screaming down the slot. Raymond now passes it out of the zone after he gained the line, and Mark Giordano trying to keep it in his skates in front of the Anaheim bench. Under a minute to go on the Cogliano penalty. Troy Brody sends it around the boards and in, and it squirts free to Kessler, who sends it all the way down.
Seeing that combination of Kessler and Getzlaf used more frequently by Boudreau on the penalty kill. We used to only see it before on face-off situations, but more and more we're seeing it all the way.
Fowler trying to get it to Lovejoy, went right through to Anderson, who alertly made the save. Kessler carries as far as he can before icing the puck. 25 seconds of the penalty to Cogliano. As TJ Brody headmans the puck, Juris at center, across the line, tried to get it to Giordano, but it was taken away, and Fowler ices once again.
Yeah, great play by Ken Fowler. Used that skating ability. Moved so well laterally. Closed, got the turnover, and a relatively easy clear.
Russell trying to pass it ahead, and that hit Getzlaf. He picks it up, plays it over to Kessler. Fresh out of the box, he gives it to Cogliano. His shot in and out of the glove of Ordio, who covers up. The Flames fail on the game's first power play. They don't even get a shot on goal, and they're down one. Ryan Getzlaf doesn't have a shorthanded goal this season, but oh, did he have a chance.
He has not actually scored a goal in the last 4 games against Calgary. He'd love to get off the schneid. Point-blank opportunity here. Ordio was a little bit deep. Getzlaf was thinking top of the net, and then the puck just kind of rolled on him. I think Ordio gets a little piece of it with the left hand, so big stop by the young Finnish netminder.
Ordio made 33 saves in the overtime win Monday night at Staples Center. Comes into the game with a 4-0 record. Already has a shutout of 1.23 goals against average. As I mentioned, he got in 9 games a season ago. It was 4-4, including a win against the Ducks as Anderson holds the bid from Lance Beaumont. And time for tonight's Star Watch, brought to you by the Mercedes-Benz dealers of Southern California. Some high-scoring blue liners.
Certainly are. Mark Giordano. Right now, I mean, he would be my pick to win the Norris Trophy. He's been that good in the early part. Him and Shea Weber, I think, would be head-to-head at the top of the heap. Sammy Vatanen has been a sensation for the Ducks. 10 goals from Sammy. Everyone always expected that Sammy Vatanen was going to be a great offensive player, but has impressed me most about him, quite honestly, has been his play on the other side of the puck. I think who would have thought that he would be right up there in the shot blocking areas for the Ducks this season. He's done a terrific job.
Both of them on the ice right now. Giordano, by the way, plus 21 on the season. And another penalty coming up to the Ducks as Giordano handles it. Giordano has the 3rd best road plus-minus in the entire National Hockey League as he dumped it in, and that nearly created some chaos because Anderson lost it off the high glass. He went to the front of the net, and the puck was laying on the near side. Luckily, Anaheim able to touch up.
I think the referees are really concerned about the hockey sticks in this game because look at that. That's vicious. Are you kidding me? That is a penalty.
Can't play the game without a stick, can you?
My coach is a young lad would always say, hold on to your stick. Might be a recommendation for Josh Juris. Unbelievably, he draws the penalty against Matt Bolesky, and it's another Calgary power play.
So the Anaheim penalty kill on the spot once again. 14 of their last 16, including tonight, in the last 6 games for the shorthanded unit. Thompson couldn't settle it, so he chops it to the open wing, hoping Lovejoy could track it down. Up the wall, Chris Russell holds it in and flips it below the goal line. Fowler pays the price as he moves it to the corner. It squirts back to the line, and it'll be held there by Dennis Weidman. Weidman forced all the way to the far hash mark. His pass broken up and now taken behind the net. Getzlaf so strong, and he just fires it off the glass and all the way down.
They do not have a player that can handle Ryan Getzlaf when he has the puck on his stick. He just is going to flat out overpower most everybody in this Calgary lineup.
Speed for Johnny Gaudreau on left wing. Gets it to the front of the net and a save made there. Nice play by Anderson as Hoodler went hard to the net. Goodrow gets it back on the right wing. Draws two defenders. Lindholm knocks it loose, and Silverberg starts the other way. Jakob Silverberg trying to get it towards the net. It rolls to Ordio, who just left it there, and Silverberg takes it back. Now his stick is slashed out of his hands, and the fans respond to that as there's no call.
Yeah.
And then Beauchemin steps up at the near blue line and introduces himself to Johnny Gaudreau.
Well, that's one way to stifle Johnny Hockey, but Duck fans have every right to be upset here, John, because it appears to be a different standard being applied.
Juris spinning at the blue line to try to stay on side, chops it ahead. Brandon Bollig leaves it there for him. The former Blackhawk goes to the front of the net as Juris, the product of Union College, moves it back to the line. One-time blast in the glove of Frederik Andersen through traffic off the stick of Mason Raymond.
Here's a look at the no call on Jakob Silverberg. How is that any different from either of the two penalties that has been called against Anaheim? I don't know. And then here's Francois Beauchemin, and boy, could you pick a better guy for Francois Beauchemin to see slowing down as he's trying to buy time at the blue line than Johnny Gaudreau. And the hip check of Francois Beauchemin sends a pretty firm message.
Gaudreau, the rookie sensation that they list at 5'9", $150, so you know he's probably about 5'6". Second amongst all NHL rookies in scoring. Here's Giordano. Sharp ankle shot as he almost skated himself in too deep, and Anderson held the post. Monahan plays it back. Brody got it to the net off of Vatanen into the corner. Monahan slides it over, and Giordano's shot is blocked and chopped all the way back by Silverberg.
It's so dangerous. Giordano has shown this season that he really can do a great job of picking his spots and finding the open spaces. And Bruce Boudreau was saying you got to have your head on a swivel. You got to know where he is all the time on the ice, but easier said than done. You know, whenever he gets such a good read, as soon as you turn your head and look towards the puck, that is the cue for Giordano just to break into open ice.
He leads all NHL defensemen in scoring. He shares the Calgary team lead with Yuri Hoodler. Here's Boma right to the doorstep, saved by Anderson. Loose rebound picked up by Maroon. And now around the boards for Beauchemin, who is able to feather it out of the zone. Stajan backs in and plays it across. Dennis Wideman gets the legs moving ahead. And it's flipped in by Jones. Ducks quick to send it back, and it's Perry across the line, drop pass to Getzlaf. Fires it in front, and it went off of Maroon to the corner. Ducks recover. Lovejoy from the point. That's deflected in! And Maroon got his stick on that one.
Now here's the guy who's heating up. That Maroon, the points are starting to come for him. This is just great hand. That shot's going 3 feet wide. He reaches out and pulls it back towards the net. Great hand-eye coordination rewards Patrick Maroon with a big goal for the Ducks.
Smile says it all. 5 points for Maroon in the last 3 games. He's coming off back-to-back multiple-point games as he had a pair of assists on Saturday at Staples Center. And the Ducks now have a 2-0 lead at 14:59 of the opening period. For Maroon, just his 4th of the season. Thompson goes back in the Anaheim zone, chips it to the corner, but only Joe Colburn is there. Former Boston Bruin given a rough ride there by Fowler. Fowler lost his stick. And now he'll take Thompson's as Anaheim is able to clear the zone, and Thompson will go to the bench either for a new stick or a change. He'll just change. Diaz sends it into the Anaheim zone, and Anderson sets it up for Fowler with a new stick. Kessler cutting to the middle of the ice, has it swept away. A good puck recovery by Jackman, who lifted the stick of Hoodler to flip it back. Gary Hoodler tips it as it comes back to him, and Juris with a fluttering puck. He had to try to kick it into the zone, and offside are the Flames. There have been some missed opportunities for Patrick Maroon of late, but he finishes on this one, and it's 2-0 Ducks. Busy in Los Angeles on Monday night. The Ducks were busy raising over $300,000 for the Anaheim Ducks Foundation as they and 400 guests participated in the 15th annual Ducks in Tux event. Our MCs for the night were Brian Hayward and Kent French. I don't think it's ever been done better by anyone, quite frankly. Great job, Hazy. You and Frenchie did a wonderful job. I think we had about 40 restaurants there, Brian. The chefs donating their time and their services, and a good time was had by all.
These are 40 of the absolute best restaurants in Orange County, and it's quite a concept. You have an individual chef and a bunch of his staff that service every single table. So every table is being served a very unique meal. And boy, walking around, there was a lot of mouth-watering going on. And on my part, I can certainly say that.
Some very philanthropic people as well. The Ducks raising money by offering participation on some upcoming road trips and moving into next season, and opportunities, really some chance of a lifetime opportunities, and the fans took advantage. I think Bruce Boudreau and his wife are going to host a couple of dinners, all for a wonderful cause. Dennis Weidman gets his shot through, and Anderson, always in good position, able to make the stop. Tonight on Fox Sports Live, you're not going to want to miss it. There's another update on Deflategate, as Jay Glazer has the inside scoop on when the Colts were tipped off. Kevin Durant will go home to D.C., where he could one day play for good. Brian Scalabrine will weigh in on that. And it's Kane versus Crosby in Pittsburgh on the final night of NHL action before the All-Star.
Let's take a look at the last bid by Calgary, and it was Boudreau, a little reluctant to come out in front of that goal line, knowing that Francois Beauchemin was there waiting for him that time. But a good stop by Freddie Anderson, take away the short side.
Face-off win for the Ducks enables them to exit the zone. Flames are the third worst face-off team in the league at just over 47% on the season. Something the Ducks hope to take advantage of tonight. Anaheim, a top 10 face-off team, as they have been all season long. David Jones tips it into the Anaheim zone, and Lance Toma goes in after it. Toma makes the big hit. Monahan gets the puck back to the line. Giordano skates around one defender, but then Ricard Raquel knocks it loose and finds Silverberg at center. Jacklin goes wide on the right side. Long wrist shot is a glove save for Ortio, who looks around and chooses to hold on.
Nice work in the defensive zone. See how aggressive Giordano is coming off that point. Boy, he's got confidence. They will send 5 players to the top of the goal crease at times. The Calgary Flames will. And they're very difficult to defend because of the type of speed that they bring to the table.
Face off to the left of Ortio. And Thompson with a clean win. Lovejoy looks up, takes the wrist shot. He scores!
Well, this puck changes direction in front of Joni Ortio, and it's up into the top corner. And I think it's off a Calgary player. I mean, Ben Lovejoy just kind of threw it towards the front of the net. Nate Thompson wins the draw cleanly, and it looks like it goes right there off the glove of defenseman Chris Russell over top of the shoulder of Ortio. This is the thing about smaller goaltenders. They just don't fill up as much net as a guy the size of Frederik Andersen. That puck may have hit him.
So Lovejoy has his first of the year. Thompson will draw the lone assist with the face-off win, and the Ducks lead 3-0. 2:40 to go in the opening period. Fowler sweeps it behind the net. Thompson swung around, can't get to it.
And you touched on the fact Calgary not a good face-off team. Anaheim has turned themselves into a terrific face-off team this year with the additions of Kessler and Nate Thompson.
Lovejoy sets up behind the goal, and he'll just let Getzlaf pick it up, and he gallops the other way. Tried to flip it in. That was knocked down by Paul Byron, who lays it back. T.J. Brody's pass picked off by Getzlaf, who wires it cross ice. Unable to track it down off the boards was Perrin. Bollig moves it ahead. Stajan turns with it, and with a cross-corner dump to the left corner of the Anaheim zone. Roback takes a hit as he nudges it ahead for Maroon. Perry at center. Hit the linesman. That hit Jay Scherers, but still entered the Calgary zone. Just didn't get deep. Bolig in front of the Calgary bench hoists it into the Anaheim zone. A deflection, so no icing because he was on the wrong side of the red line. Sammy Vatanen has points in 2 straight games. He shovels it ahead off the stick of Kessler and has it come right back to him. Palmieri loses his footing and Anaheim goes offside.
I think what will please Bruce Boudreau most about this period is, again, the good defensive play by the Ducks. They have cut down on the number of scoring chances that they have been yielding. Freddie Anderson has been very, very rock solid, but has not been forced to make the caliber of saves that he was forced to make probably a span of about 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Russell rims it hard around. Jones gets a piece of it to center. Oh, Lindholm hit hard by Boma. And then a good job by Moshima, who came back to break up the cross-ice pass. Good to see Hampus get right back into the play, though, as he went awkwardly into the boards in front of the Anaheim bench. And Bolesky flips it out of the zone. Now, Lance Boma will hit you. He's one of the top 10 hitters in the league. Unfortunately, Lindholm had his back to him when he got hit that time. That could have been ugly.
He went off the ice, and there were a couple of Duck players jawing at Lance Boma. We'll take a look at the hit right here. Lindholm going back for a loose puck, and it's rolling. And Boma gets him on the left shoulder. Lindholm was trying to spin off of the hit, and by doing so, avoided what could have been a much more difficult one to absorb.
Incidentally, belated happy birthday wishes to Hampus Lindholm, who turned the ripe old age of 21 yesterday. And this is his second NHL season. And the Flames again just lifted out of harm's way as the game clock winds down to 20 seconds. We're in the first period. Fowler flies into the Calgary zone on right wing. Puts it behind the net. Cogliano trying to center. That's blocked, however. And back the other way, Brody. He rolls it inside the Anaheim zone. And Lovejoy barely able to clear. Giordano knows running out of time. He's going to join the play. Gives it to Colburn, and his bit off the wing deflected out of play by Lovejoy. A wonderful opening period for the Ducks.
Well, the Ducks solve Joni Ordio. They get traffic in front. They get a couple of tips on pucks, and they find the top of the net on him a couple of different times. So a good start to the hockey game for the Ducks, their final game prior to the All-Star break.
It's secondary scoring as Palmieri, Maroon, and Lovejoy find the back of the net, and it's a 3-0 lead for Anaheim after one as we go downstairs to Mark Rogandino and Guy Hebert. Anaheim Ducks hockey is brought to you by Honda, official vehicle of the National Hockey League. The Ducks on top 3-0 after one. Before we start the second period of play, let's go to the Anaheim bench. Our Ken French standing by with assistant coach Brad Lauer.
Johnny, thank you very much, Brad. Great offensive period for you guys. But what impressed you the most about the way the defense played the opening 20 minutes?
Well, I mean, we made some good plays. I think the biggest thing is we've been really working on supporting our defense, making quick little passes coming out of our zone, and really focusing on our D to join the rush, and we've seen that in the first period.
Brad, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Johnny, back up to you.
Thank you so much, Ken. Bruce Boudreau knows the Calgary Flames will not quit. He talked about it this morning. He said the reason they've won 5 straight on the road is because they believe they're always in the game. They believe they can win. And look no further than the last time these teams played here on November the 25th. The Ducks led 3-0 after 2 periods of play. Bob Hartley's club put a couple on the board and made it very uncomfortable down the stretch for Anaheim.
They've got a young team, and they're having fun. Like, expectations, as I mentioned, were quite low heading into the season. And you're a fun team to watch. I will say this. They are, in my mind, the quickest team in the Western Conference. Them, Colorado, also is a lightning fast team. I was just talking to an NHL scout in between periods, and he was saying, they are a lot of fun to watch, but it's very difficult to play that style where you are pressuring the puck all over the ice for 60 minutes and 82 games all season long. And you wondered whether or not that would be able to hold up over the course of the regular season in the later stages.
Well, the interesting thing is that the Flames are in a playoff position, as we pointed out, but in their last 21 games, they're 10-10-1. This isn't a team that's been surging up the standings so much as maybe they've just held ground and other teams may have gone past them the other way.
Well, this road trip has been a surge for them. In 4 consecutive wins, they've got themselves ahead of the Los Angeles Kings and in a spot where they would love, obviously, to go into the All-Star break.
Penalty coming up here
in
in
the playoff spot.
And Brian, you know as well as anyone, they're going to have to play better than 500 hockey down the stretch if they hope to stay in a playoff position. Anderson covering up at the side of the net. And a penalty against Anaheim just 38 seconds in to this second period is going to give the Flames their third power play chance of the night.
Now, it's going to be a penalty against Corey Perry. And he's talking to TJ Brodie right now. It was Brodie that Perry tripped up in the Calgary defensive zone. And here's the indication from the referee. Here's a look at the penalty. It wasn't Brodie, actually. It was his defensive partner that he tripped up. And so Perry's going to sit down. Not a good penalty for him to take. And the Flames right back out on the power play.
0 for 2 tonight. Calgary has struggled, to say the least, of late. They're 2 for their last 30 on the power play over a span of 11 games. And they're unable to win the draw. Lovejoy goes right up the middle.
21st ranked power play for Calgary, and you touched on how weak they have been this season in the face-off circle. That makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
When you're on the power play and you're winning draws in the offensive zone, good 15 to 20 seconds more time you get when you win the draw versus have to go all the way down the ice, chase after the loose puck.
Monahan didn't get much on his shot from the slot, but the Flames able to recover possession. Russell sends it to the corner. Lovejoy steps in front of Juris. Tried to get it ahead. Thompson couldn't get it out. And pass across kept in by Weidman, who lets it go. Traffic in front from Juris. And it skips to the corner. Again, the Flames recover. Weidman's the trigger man. He looks up, takes it all the way to the dot. Now bottom of the circle is pass across, went off a skate. Russell steps to the top of the far circle to keep it in. Kudler trying to move it along, but it's Lovejoy who corrals it and ices. Changes for both teams, special teams. Less than a minute left in the penalty to Perry.
Defensive pairing of Ben Lovejoy and Cam Fowler have had a really strong game so far tonight. They've been quick to get back to loose pucks. They've used their legs to get the clear.
Lovejoy is the only Duck who has multiple points in this game. He has a goal and an assist. Cogliano didn't have any support, so he just buys a little time skating it into the Calgary zone. And now back on the Flames. Backlund finds Brodie joining the rush for Mason Raymond on the wing. Raymond, the former Canuck and Toronto Maple Leaf, able to work it loose and behind the net. The Flames get it back. Giordano holds the line. Monahan got it to Raymond from the bottom of the circle. He missed from a sharp angle. And Monahan in the slot gives it up, gets it back out to the point. TJ Brodie looks up, takes that's a shot pass that knuckles in on Anderson, and Backlund can't muscle it past him. The Ducks get a break. Anderson didn't cover, but he got the whistle nonetheless.
This is a big break for the Ducks and Frederik Andersen. Freddie tried to dive on that loose puck, could not cover it. It's the high tip play. Here's the redirection. It bounces off Sammy Vatanen and goes into the crease. Anderson thinks he's got it surrounded with his arms, and that puck squirts out right under the right armpit of the goaltender Anderson. Watch this. Squirts out right underneath it. Jakob Silfverberg was doing a job on Monahan away from this puck. Quick whistle bails Anaheim out of a tight spot.
8 seconds left in the Calgary power play. 2.5 minutes into the second. 3-0 Ducks, and Nate Thompson with another clean face-off win. And it's hammered the length of the ice by Francois Beauchemin. That'll do it for the penalty. Flames now 0 for 3 on the power play tonight. Brodie angles it off the wall. Ducks turn it right back. Flames had 2 shots on goal on that power play. They now have 5 power play shots in the game. However, they trail 3-0. Getzlaf squats it across. Perry has a lot of room, and he'll rim it around and in. Ordio stays put as Brodie tried to pick it off the wall. Lindholm kept it in, and now Maroon sends it around. Brandon Bullock, the former Chicago Blackhawk, came over on draft day last June for a draft pick. Works his way deep into the Anaheim zone. Got a bump on Lindholm, and Matt Stajan sets up Kudler in the high slot. His shot blocked by Getzlaf. That sawed his stick in half, and the Ducks able to clear. Getzlaf will go to the bench. Instead of a new stick, he'll just change. And now from behind the net, it's Francois Beauchemin.
A bit surprising that time that the Flames just pulled up and did not apply any pressure to Francois Beauchemin. They made life a A lot easier for him when his teammates on the bench.
Lovejoy holds the clear in at the point. Give and go, got it back. One timed it off of Ordio and just wide.
Oh, beautiful execution of the give and go. And that did not miss by much.
Weidman holds it in on the far side, got it to the net. Hoodler got the rebound. That one goes off the high glass and right back out in front. Lovejoy tracks it down. His clear off a Calgary stick will come to center ice. And it's played further on by Rennie Bourque. The former Flame will head to the bench for a change. Bourque in his 22nd game since joining the Ducks this season after coming over from Montreal. Lovejoy stretches it ahead, and here's Palmieri. He had the game's first goal. And he angles it in and tries to go around. Derek Engelland and go after it. Engelland able to move it away, though, and Joe Colburn starts back for the Flames. Backlund wanted to return the pass, but that was broken up. Roback got a stick on it. And back come the Ducks. Kessler with Palmieri, and Palmieri a step ahead. It's offside.
Kyle Palmieri did not like that call. He went for the stretch at the offensive blue line. And Mike Civic made the call. He was talking to Bruce Boudreau today about the decision to put Rennie Bourque back into the lineup and Devontae Smith-Pelly the healthy scratch tonight. And he said, you know what, I relate it to my own experience as a player when I used to get called up from the minors to the big club. When you come up, it's not okay just to be okay in the game. You have got to be a guy that comes in and has an impact on the game. We got a penalty coming up here against Calgary for tripping up Matt Bolesky. And so the Ducks are going to get their first power play of the game.
I think his message regarding players who are in and out of the lineup is it's not okay to just be ordinary when you do come in the lineup. Matt Bolesky, who was out of the lineup just a couple of games ago, kept his feet moving there, and he draws a penalty.
Anaheim power play, red hot power play goals in 5 consecutive games coming into this one tonight.
They're 1 for 3 on the season series against the Flames, just their 4th power play chance in 3 games against Calgary, and Vatanen has to go back after it as Calgary clears. The penalty kill for the Flames has not fared any better than their power play. They're 26th in the league at just 76.6%. Fowler hard around. Getzlaf got a stick on it, but Boma pulls it off the boards and angles it all the way down. Half a minute gone in the penalty to David Jones, the former Colorado Avalanche. Sits in the penalty box, and Vatanen having a very tough time with Michael Backlund. Now he nudges it ahead, but Maroon can't corral it, so the Flames regroup in the neutral zone. Backlund wants to force the issue, but it had knocked off his stick by Getzlaf.
Good patience. Getzlaf decides to just come back with full control and move up the ice as a 5-man unit.
Getzlaf able to gain the line. Hard around for Perry. Waits at the near hash mark. Wanted to get it to Fowler at the point, but that was sniffed out. Colburn intercepts it and chips it all the way down. Anderson will play it himself. The captain waits at the blue line to receive it. Behind the back to Kessler, who does the same. And now the open wing for Fowler. Hits the blue line, hard around and in. Palmieri gets to it. Puts it deep, and Russell behind the net gets to it. The Ducks are changing on the power play. His clearing attempt, though, was sealed off by Lindholm, and then on a second effort, he has to go back and get it in neutral ice. Hard around, Palmieri gets it in, and Ricard Raquel forces it behind the net. Weidman swipes it in front of his own goal, and Russell is able to get there. Lindholm has to get on his horse as Lance Boma bearing down on it.
The Ducks just haven't been able to regain possession of the puck in the offensive zone.
The Flames don't give you any space.
Well, they're quick. They are on you in a hurry, and it is pressure everywhere.
Jones steps out of the box. The Ducks never got set up on the power play. They're 0 for 1 tonight. Palmieri sweeps it into the backhand, and TJ Brody with it there. Brody plus 23 on the season. Tops on the Flames team and 4th overall in the NHL. Roback intercepts Giordano's centering pass. Takes it behind the net and rims it around. Moshman trying to jab it out of the zone, and he's able to get it by Engelland and out to center ice. Cogliano, first man into the forecheck, has it played away from him, and Yuri Hoodler brushes it back. Ducks not giving up the neutral zone as Roback denied that pass, then has to retreat as Hoodler tries to get behind him. Rafael Diaz to center, flips it in. Lovejoy without pressure, back to pick it up. He gives it to Colby Roback. Fifth game as a Duck for Roback, and his pass off the stick of Silverberg is deep. Cogliano falls as he and Diaz were tangled up, and around the boards it comes all the way back into the Anaheim zone. Fowler beat Juris to it. Ducks will stretch it off the stick of Cogliano, and Weidman starts back. Pass into the middle for Gaudreau, and a save by Anderson, who holds on. Just over 8 minutes gone in the second. No scoring in this period, so it's still 3-0.
He's so important for the Ducks, and lately Kyle Palmieri in the second line has become a big factor for Anaheim. And he, Matt Bolesky, Ryan Kessler are providing some additional pop up front. It is interesting when you look at the goals that Kyle has scored this season. They come in many different ways. When you think about the shot of Kyle Palmieri, but he still gets an awful lot of goals as the result of him driving to the front of the net, picking up a little bit of garbage here and there.
Much like Matt Bolesky, he's got a tremendous release as well. And of course, those are the two wingers on either side of Ryan Kessler. Or Palmieri. And Colma in his sights, and Colma just sidestepped him at the Calgary line. Ducks possess now, and Weidman gets a piece of it and chases back into his own zone. Russell trying to stretch it. Roback gets a stick on it. Ahead to Bolesky, who pitchforks it right on the Calgary net. Ordio plays it aside for Chris Russell. Brian, we don't know a lot about Ordio, but the one thing the Flames haven't seen this season from him is how does he play when he is in a big deficit and when he has had a bad period. He had a couple of tip-in goals, one that was an own goal off Russell, but I think it's an interesting decision by Hartley to keep him in here and maybe see what the youngster has when put in this situation.
There's Weidman down in the neutral zone, having a tough time getting back to the Calgary bench.
He's able to do so and takes a seat immediately as the Ducks put it into the Calgary zone. Lindholm's shot is deflected high and across the zone. Jackman gets to it. Thompson backhands it off the side of the goal. Bourque gets it back. Freddie Bourque wants to get to the front of the net. Got it to Jackman. He scored! Nice setup by Bourque, who did the work down low, and Jackman wasted little time.
What a shot. I mean, he just rips this into the top corner for goal number 4. And this is going to feel good for the former Calgary Flame. Watch how quickly this puck comes off the stick blade. He just whips it up into the top corner. It looked at first like he was going to try and one-time that puck, but he caught it and all in one motion just whipped it up into the top corner, and that's going to be it for Joni Ortio.
Brian, this is what I was just talking about. If you're Bob Hartley, you're wanting to see if your goaltender battles for your team, gives your team a chance to get back in the game. Ortio wasn't tested much in this second period. In fact, that's just the third Anaheim shot on goal. The fourth goal goes in, he makes the change.
Well, it's a short side, top shelf goal, and the only thing I would say about Joni Ortio on that is that he didn't really come out and challenge. And small goaltender, if you're not challenging and you're falling down, you're going to expose the top of the net. So look at the positioning of the goaltender. He's down on his knees, and then it's a very short challenge. I mean, he does not get out to the top of the goal crease when Tim Jackman releases that puck. So former Anaheim Duck Jonas Hiller takes over between the pipes for the Calgary Flames. The story about Hiller is that he was brilliant in the first 2 months of the regular season, but his play has slid a little bit in the last little while. And that's why Ortio has been given the opportunity to get some games.
Hiller's last outing was 11 days ago on the 9th of January. A 6-5 loss to the Florida Panthers, in which he gave up 6 goals on 35 shots. He makes a save right away as he comes in. He's greeted rather warmly by the partisan Duck crowd here. And now a wraparound from Perry nearly beats him, but he was able to flash the right pad. Stajan trying to lead into the Anaheim zone, and Fowler pitchforks it away from him. Nice play by Cam Fowler there. Now it's Thompson and Bourque who draw the assists on Jackman's 4th of the year. And now Nate Thompson has a multiple-point game tonight as he has a pair of assists. Ducks have 8 different scorers on the score sheet. None of them are among the top 5 scorers on the season for the team. Juris knocks down a clearing attempt by Vatanen, who then takes it away from him. Nice play by Sammy there.
And the thing you love about Sammy Vatanen when he goes back in to get to a loose puck, the legs are always moving. I mean, just constant motion. And boy, when you got a guy that can wheel like Sammy Vatanen back there, he becomes so much more difficult to hit.
Kudler curls it into the middle of the ice, and Johnny Gaudreau draws a lot of attention. Long wrist shot saved by Anderson, who reels it in and covers up. A former Flame, Jackman, converts from a former Flame, Bork, and it's 4-0 Ducks.
Just under 9 minutes of play in the second period at Honda Center with Ben Lovejoy behind the Ducks bench. You guys up by 4. Defensively, do you continue to be aggressive or you start shutting things down?
We're not good when we relax and don't play aggressively. So we're going to try and continue that, try and keep the pressure on. We're better when we're playing in the offensive zone.
And I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, Johnny, back up to you.
First goal of the season for Ben Lovejoy tonight. He's added an assist. Nate Thompson has a pair of helpers. They're the only 2 Ducks with more than a point. Thompson with his first multiple-point game of the season. And Anaheim with a 4-0 lead halfway through. Face-off forthcoming to the right of Frederik Andersen. You can see the Flames have outshot the Ducks. An opportunistic Anaheim team tonight. They've chased Joni Ortio and now face their former teammate Jonas Hiller.
Well, they certainly have the book on Jonas Hiller. I mean, everybody has shot, or the majority of the lineup anyway, has shot maybe 1,000 pucks at Jonas Hiller. Everyone knows what his tendencies are. People often ask me, does that swing the advantage in favor of the goaltender or the shooter? I always think it gives a little bit of an advantage to the shooter, quite honestly, when you have got a prepared book on a goaltender, because you're pretty convinced of what you're trying to do with the puck every time you get it in front of him.
There's a delay, and not precisely sure why. You can see the scorer's bench talking with the referees. I don't know if there was some question regarding the clock. Gord Dwyer says play on. So that's what they'll do. And Kessler and Backlund take the draw, came right to the front of the net, and the Flames score. Oh, that thing pinballed all over the place. I think Backlund jabbed it past Anderson.
Yeah, it came right to Michael Backlund, and he just drilled a quick little snapshot. The 6th goal of the season for the young centerman Backlund. That puck bouncing around, it's off legs. It hits Hampus Lindholm in the shin pad and bounces directly to Michael Backlund. Watch this, kind of a crazy one here. Right off the shin pad of Backlund off of Brian Kessler. Right to Backlund, and bang, it's in the back of the net, and the Flames are on the board.
Backlund missed 29 games with an abdominal injury. He now has 5 goals and 8 points in his last 7 games upon his return to the lineup. Backlund is a guy they have hoped for years would be a number 2 centerman in Calgary. Had a career year last year. Lindholm gets it to the net, and Hiller able to cover the rebound. It was sitting there for a split second, and Kessler tried to get to it, and that draws the ire of everyone in white.
Well, Ryan Kessler is a guy that is very strong on the puck. And when I use that term, I mean that he gets a lot of leverage on the stick. Here's a good example of it. He goes to the front of the net, and he's just leaning on that stick plate, trying to jam it home. The shot by Jonas Hiller goes through a whole pile of bodies. You see that Hiller was able to close the wickets up. Kessler unable to get a tap on that rebound.
Well, Kessler does so many things for the Ducks, but the offense hasn't come easily for him of late. 3 points in his last 13 games entering tonight. So the Flames are on the board as Backlund, with his 6th of the year, has made it 4-1. Centering pass goes right through Fowler in the Anaheim zone, and will come out center ice. TJ Brodie retreats with it. Brodie plus 14 on the road this season himself, as he and Giordano are the premier D pairing in so many respects for this Calgary team. They're the highest scoring defensive duo among teammates in the entire National Hockey League, entering tonight with nearly 70 points combined. Mort takes a hit at center from Bowling, but he gets it deep, and Hiller has to play it away from Tim Jackman. Cross-ice pass goes through Brody, and he'll have to start over with Getzlaf now watching Giordano. Vatanen breaks up the stretch pass at the blue line, finds some open ice, and carries it as far as he can. Gives it to Perry, long drive off the wing, handled by the blocker of Hiller. Giordano knocked down by Maroon, gets back up to play on. Stajan tried to give it back to him. Maroon broke that up. Perry gives it back to Pat behind the net. He lets Getzlaf take it. The captain wanted to hand it off as Roback drove up the boards. Perry steps in front, got hit by Giordano. Loose puck to Maroon, and Perry dumped in the high slot as he tried to spin off. Anaheim doesn't give up the zone, and Perry goes over top. Nice job by Vatanen. He held the zone.
Vatanen held the blue line, kept the puck in, created a great scoring chance.
Getzlaf steals at his own blue line. Maroon takes the stretch pass, drops it off. Colby Roback goes deep. Boy, fired it right through the slot, just missed Perry.
You know what? I give a lot of credit to Colby Roback, John. He has stepped in tonight, has made some confident plays with the puck, has not looked out of place at all.
Raquel swipes it behind the net. Cogliano got to it. Cycles it back for Raquel, broken up by Juris, who uses the glass and does eventually get it out center ice. 6:10 to go, second period. The teams have traded goals here in the middle frame. 4-1 Ducks. Anaheim first overall, not only in the Pacific and the West, but in the National Hockey League entering tonight. Here's Goudreau out of the corner. Great pass across, and Hoodler is robbed by Anderson.
Cogliano has his stick smashed in half, and there's no call on that play either.
Johnny Gaudreau circles with it. Now hands it off to Weidman. His pass denied by Cogliano. Ahead for Silverberg. Drops it back. Cogliano got it through, and that one handcuffed Hiller, who holds on. The Flames have gotten on the board. Now 4-1 in the second.
Freddie Anderson is a perfect 5-0 in the month of January. And he's been doing a lot of this, making big stops, timely saves. That was Hoodler with half a net to shoot at. And the big push off the left leg gets Frederik Andersen across far enough with the blocker to rob Yuri Hoodler. Hoodler is a guy who's had success against the Ducks. Goals in 3 straight games against Anaheim. He's been slumping as of late. Just 1 goal for in his last 12 games. And the Flames are going to need more consistent offense from him in the second half of the season, post-All-Star break, if they're going to hold on to that playoff spot.
8-year man out of the Czech Republic. Former Detroit Red Wing. Is Yuri Hoodler, and now Bolesky's shot is blocked as he enters the Calgary zone. Just over 5 to go, second period. As Fowler gets it to Bolesky on the far boards. Palmieri protects it, and Kessler's offside, so he won't pursue this puck. And the Flames bring it back out into the Anaheim zone. Vatanen goes back after it. Boma wanted to take a run at him, but Sammy hit the brakes. And around the wall it comes to Rennie Bourque. He puts it on the backhand and flips it in. Bourque with an assist tonight for the Ducks, now with 3 points in his last 7 games. Been in and out of the lineup as a healthy scratch the last few. Jackman got a hit on Dennis Weidman, who left uncomfortably a few minutes ago, so good to see him back out on the ice. And now he stretches it ahead. Mason Raymond trying to go against the grain, had it knocked off his stick. A good job defensively there by the Ducks as they recovered. Jones knocks it loose below the goal line, and Vatanen comes up with a loose change and sand wedges it back to center. Weidman retreats as he takes it out of his glove and plays it across. Chris Russell stretches it ahead off the stick of Sean Monahan, who will go to the bench for a change.
It really is a 3-zone game from Calgary. I mean, they are sending 2 forwards to the Anaheim blue line every time any of their defensemen get a hold of the puck.
Brody tries to catch Juris behind the defense as he had fallen in the Anaheim zone, just barely gotten back on side. Juris to the corner, throws it in front, and he missed both Gaudreau and Hoodler. Oh, sent sprawling there was Getzlaf as he went after it on the far side. Rolling puck in the high slot. Good to see Getzlaf pop back up. And Gaudreau fires it across. To the net, Anderson wisely will hang on to the bid from Giordano. Well, a few one-of-a-kind items can still be yours from Teemu Tribute Night for an opportunity to bid on the Ducks game-worn warm-ups and Frederick Anderson's custom Solani-themed mask, as well as the Jets warm-up jerseys from Solani Tribute Night. Go to AnaheimDucks.com/Teemu merchandise.
Giordano and Getzlaf exchanging words. Most of it initiated by Getzlaf after this collision right here, where Giordano kicks out the right skate and trips up the Anaheim captain. And boy, that right leg got trapped underneath Ryan Getzlaf. And that's what he was upset about.
Well, the Flames may trail 4-1, but they've outchanced the Ducks as far as grade A scoring chances go in this game, 12-7. It's part of the reason the intensity remains out there despite a 3-goal lead for Anaheim. We got a long way to go. 3:22 left in the second period. The respective captains exchanging how do you do.
Let's keep in mind that the Calgary Flames this season have just dominated teams in third periods.
Absolutely.
They've outscored their opponents 55-30 in third periods, plus 25, remarkable statistics. So what Bruce Boudreau was talking about, that they never quit, I don't take anything for granted against them for sure.
Add to that the fact that they have won 7 of 9 games in overtime, and they've outscored their opponents after the second period by 30 goals. The first and second periods certainly are not their cup of tea. They're a -18 combined in those in goal differential. Now make it -21, including tonight. As good as the Ducks have been, coming from behind after 2 periods of play, only one team has been better in the NHL, and that's the Calgary Flames. So with 2:30 to go in the second, the job for Jonas Hiller is to keep that number 4 on the board and give his team a chance to do what they've done all year. Bolig's shot went off a leg and is battled below the goal line by a little Paul Byron. Engelland holds it in across for Diaz. Wide open in the slot is Bolig. Point-blank save Anderson. Roback stretches it up the middle off the skate of Bolesky, who would have been in.
Not too bad. He had Matt Bolesky wide open in the middle of the ice. Pass from Colby Roback, a little bit too hot to handle.
Jones carries into the Anaheim zone, but he forgot the puck. He drew himself offside. So time for Lindholm as he sweeps it across. Palmieri open on left wing. The right-hand shot. Tried to cut to the middle, miscommunication as he thought Bolesky was going to go behind him. Jones puts it into the middle of the ice. Monahan, the long wrist shot, glove save. Anderson tries to skate to open ice, but the whistle brings a stop.
Yeah, Freddie Anderson has been very, very good in this second period. He made a couple of real big stops. Here's another one. This one on Brandon Bolig. And Anderson just kind of blocks that one with the right side of his body and the blocking pad. You have to be impressed with how effortless he makes it look sometimes. Not what you would call one of those showboat goaltenders. Sometimes it's hard to recognize when Anderson makes a really difficult stop because he's so economical as he moves around the goal crease. Scoring chances in the second period, 8-2 in favor of Calgary, and the teams have each scored 1 goal. So the Ducks have been opportunists in this one. Freddie Anderson has been very good.
Anderson's 5th career appearance against the Flames. Second in the league with 25 wins this season. Well, here's Thompson, flies in, tried to chip it high, and he missed everything. Bork able to get to it off the glass. Nate Thompson with some real jump tonight. Already has a couple of assists. Jackman trying to cycle it back to him in the right corner. A minute remains in the second period. Bork pursues behind the net and brings it to the near side. He doesn't have a stick, so it makes it really hard to play the puck. Back come the Flames. Gaudreau turns on the Jets. Drops it off, give and go, got it back, alone in the slot. Great pass, and they score. Monahan makes it 4-2.
It should have been a penalty again against Calgary for slashing the stick out of the hands of an Anaheim player. But it's only being called one way in this game, which is very frustrating, I'm sure, for the Ducks bench. That was TJ Brodie. And then on the ensuing rush, you can see that Anaheim partially unable to defend because one player doesn't have a stick in his hands. There goes Bourque. Nice little feed into the middle. And boy, a good-looking young player, Sean Monahan, gives Calgary life. Now it's a 2-goal game, and now they are right back in this one.
Game on. Monahan with goals in 4 straight games. Now the leading goal scorer on the season for the Flames as he has his 15th of the year. First-round draft pick from 2013, Monahan has given the Flames life. And as we've talked about late here in the second period, you don't have to give Calgary a whole lot of opening to make them feel like they're in the game, and they are very much in this one now.
Yeah, keep an eye on Ryan Getzlaf in this game. He's got a look in his eye right now. He is not a happy camper, and he's chatting with Giordano.
Talking to Giordano, isn't he?
And so we know one thing about Ryan Getzlaf. He's a rare superstar in that he is certainly willing to take care of himself, does not rely on other people to do that for him like some star players do in this league.
Could those guys potentially be teammates in a couple of days? Here's Giordano chased by Perry behind the net. Giordano goes down. Perry can't play the puck any further, and as it's cleared back, that's going to do it for the second period. Well, what was once a 4-0 lead is now a 2-goal lead as we head to the third period with two teams that have nothing left to leave in the locker room, getting ready for the final 20 minutes.
And you know what? And you're right, John, and that's exactly what the coaches are going to try and refocus this group on when they get back into the Ducks locker room. There may be some personal scores that players want to settle here, but most importantly, a strong 20 minutes will mean that the Ducks have the best winning percentage in the National Hockey League going into the All-Star break, and that is certainly a goal that they would be very proud of.
Well, it's a 2-goal game, guys. We got ourselves a hockey game. Anaheim Ducks hockey is brought to you by Honda, official vehicle of the National Hockey League. Just about set to begin the third period of play. The Ducks leading the Calgary Flames by a count of 4-2 after 2. And as the Ducks took the ice to begin the third period, here's what we saw. Ilya Bryzgalov led them out, Brian, with his helmet on, geared up, ready to go. Appeared as if he thought he was going to go in. And then at the last minute, Frederik Andersen shot out of the locker room and straight to the goal crease.
Usually in a situation like that, either Andersen was cramping or he was suffering from an illness and required some kind of fluids or something like that. Okay. And they weren't sure if he was going to be ready for the first shift. That's usually the case when it looks like someone's going to go in and then they change their mind at the last moment. So Andersen obviously has said, I am ready to go. We'll keep a close eye on him in this game.
Particularly with the Ducks up 2. That's why that would have been a somewhat curious move, but of course, circumstances dictate. Moshman back to get it behind the Anaheim goal. He's converged upon by a pair of forecheckers, and Bowman nearly took it from him. Perry tries to fly the zone. He is stood up in the neutral zone by Giordano, and it's icing as a result. Well, we talked about it late in the second period. Don't sleep on the Flames. They have been not just dominant, but amazingly dominant, nearly doubling the goal-scoring total of their opponents just in the third period alone this season. You add those overtime numbers to it, and it's 62-32 after the second period. Far and away, unbelievably, the most in the league. Now Brody jumps in. Got it to Giordano, who misses with a wrist shot. Monahan, who has one goal already tonight, trying to get it back to the net, but that's blocked out center ice.
And you know this defensive pairing in particular, they are coming.
Monahan circles off the boards, lays it back. Giordano's shot sticks to Frederik Andersen. Let's update our American Honda 3-star leaderboard. Each time a Duck player is named the star of the game, we give them points. 5 to the 1-star, 3 to the 2, and 1 to the 3-star. And then we add them up, and we hope our math is good. We cross our fingers, and so far, Frederik Andersen with a 9-point lead over the captain and the guy on his way to the All-Star game.
A little separation between the goaltender, Frederik Andersen, and the challengers.
Anderson came into tonight second in the league in wins, played the 6th most games, 9th in the league in goals against average. And the puck comes right to the front of the net off a face-off win by the Ducks. And boy, did Lovejoy come back to help out Anderson, as there was a pile-up in the Anaheim goal crease.
I mean, he made a great stop. He made a sensational save. Cam Fowler overskated the puck.
This one doesn't come out of the Calgary zone, and Palmieri waits too long to pull the trigger. Russell got his stick on it.
Oh, a little lapse in concentration by the Ducks down low, and that puck comes right back out in front. Good play, not only with the stick, but on the rebound bid by Jones. Watch Anderson here. He's going to use the stick, and watch the push off the right skate again that gets him across. So for a guy that we were wondering whether or not he was even going to be able to step in and play in the third period, John, he's tested here early on.
Raquel wins the draw to the boards, but Silverberg's stick tied up by Rafael Diaz. Can't get it free, finally does. Trickles out to Colby Roback. His wrist shot tipped on the way by Cogliano, ends up in the corner. He puts it behind the net for Raquel. Swept off his stick. And recovered by Paul Byron. Byron, all 5'7" of him, streaks up right wing as he gives it up and now picks it up at center, but overskated it. Transition for the Ducks. Silverberg got it to Raquel, backhanded, steered aside by Hiller. Cogliano trying to keep it deep and hit Brandon Bollig, comes back to him. He can't turn away from Diaz. Gets support though. Raquel rifles it down low for Silverberg. Byron for Calgary trying to split the D, held in. Lindholm, nice fake, hands it off. Cogliano trying to pass to the far post. Didn't connect, he was looking for Raquel. Engelland broke it up.
A little bit too pretty, but this is exactly what Bruce Boudreau wants to play the majority of this period.
Cogliano tries to bring it from behind the goal, but is upended. And back comes Byron the other way. Pulls up at the blue line, has support off the bench. It's Hudler who chases all the way to the near corner. Behind the net for Matt Stajan. And he's pinned to the boards. And a good bit of defensive work by Ricard Raquel. Ducks win the puck, and they try to stretch it quickly, but Bourque unable to connect at center. Icing is the call.
One of the things the Ducks bench was up in arms about was the last change. Calgary on the rush here. They got two players changing. They're not even close to the bench. And here's the third player that jumps over the boards, and all of a sudden it's an outnumbered attack for Calgary. And you'll often see that, particularly in the second period of games where the players will jump the gun. You're supposed to be within 5 feet of the bench at minimum before the player who is changing decides to jump on the ice. Freddie Anderson's getting a little attention to his hand, or I believe it's his hand, over at the Ducks bench, and this is all related. A little cut on the back of his hand. This is all related to that scoring chance where Fowler overskated the puck and they tried to jam it into the crease area.
Brian Bob Hartley was none too pleased about it. He's been barking at the officials the whole time Anderson's been over there. I think he was trying to force the officials into making a goaltending change if Anderson needed that much time, but obviously it was to no avail for the Calgary bench, and Anaheim's going to be called for icing right away here. You could win a 2015 Honda CR-V this season at Fan Appreciation Night coming up later on this year here at Honda Center. Just send us a 15-second video telling us why you should win the car. Go to AnaheimDucks.com/IWantMyCRV for more details. Bob Hartley shaking up his lines to begin the third period. He's got Monahan with Goudreau and Hudler as he moves Josh Juris out of that spot.
Well, Juris is more of a checker than anything else. So trailing by a couple, we're going to see a ton of Sean Monahan here in the third period.
Monahan gets it back to Weidman. A shot pass intended for Hudler, but that was in his skates. And as it skips all the way back, wow, icing the call again against the Ducks.
And so now the face-offs become pretty darn important the rest of the way. Bruce Boudreau said, hey, get ready to change up, fellas. He wants fresh legs, and he wants energy, too. Anderson now just handed the Band-Aid off to Ryan Getzlaf.
And then gives it to the referee and steps in to take the draw. Getzlaf and Backlund oppose one another, and Backlund controls. Colburn puts it across the slot. Brody up the boards to keep it alive. Swatted off his stick. Good play by Rennie Bork. That'll go all the way back. No icing here, and the Ducks get changes. Just 3.5 minutes into the third period, 4-2 Anaheim. They've led all the way. They once led 4-0. The Ducks a little bit back on their heels to begin the period, as D.A. Bear mentioned in the second intermission. The Ducks have to know Calgary is going to have a push to begin this third period, and so far they do. This puck a souvenir as it deflects out of play.
And I like the big line being used in this situation for Boudreau. He needs a little bit more time spent in the offensive zone. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see an awful lot of Ryan Getzlaf here in this third period. Even though Getzlaf's heading to the All-Star game, an opportunity here to secure another 2 points at home, where the Ducks have just been sensational as of late.
Anaheim overall coming into tonight, winners of 4 straight, 6 of their last 7, and 16-4-1 in their last 21 games. Here come the Flames again, however, off the glove of Anderson from David Jones. Bolesky chases up the far boards, but can't get to it. Now he'll pressure Russell. The St. Louis Blue and Columbus Blue Jacket hit by Bolesky, but he reversed the puck away, and now it's in the Calgary bench.
Frederick Anderson with another good stop. This one on David Jones, middle of the ice. He's trying to go up high over the glove. Let's see, he's just off the outstretched hand of the goaltender Anderson. Taking a little self-scouting peek at the overhead scoreboard here. Goaltender sees that, check the positioning.
15:38 to go in the game. Calgary an impressive 14-9-1 on the road this season. Buoyed by this 4-game win streak away from the Saddledome against all Pacific Division foes. They have won at Vancouver, San Jose, Arizona, and Los Angeles prior to tonight. Boy, Vatanen with a good steal, but he just couldn't get the puck to settle. He had Cogliano, would have been behind the defense. Goudreau from Monahan, and a point-blank save by Anderson.
Goudreau moves right into the slot. Not a lot on that shot. He buries it into the midsection. He's got some hands on him, though, doesn't he? Look at that little curl and drag move. Anderson with another good stop. Crowd applauding because they just put Teemu Selanne up on the scoreboard here in Honda Center.
Getzlaf wins the draw from Monahan in the ring to the left of Anderson. Rimmed around, and Maroon gets enough to get it out. Pat Maroon has one of the 4 goals. Now gets it ahead to Perry. Perry joined by Getzlaf, coming late into the zone with speed. Tipped by Maroon just off the glove of Hiller.
What a pass. Great pass by Getzlaf. Boy, that was a good sequence for the Ducks' big line there. Perry bats a puck out of midair.
Here they come again. Perry pulls it in and hoists it over top of the crossbar. Russell got a piece of it. Nice job by Lindholm as he held the zone at the point. Perry trying to get inside on Russell, and Lindholm drives up the wall to keep it in. Loose puck, dug free by Getzlaf. Hands it off. Maroon's shot out of play off a Calgary stick.
The Ducks' big line gets on the ice and makes a couple of plays. Here's the knockdown by Corey Perry. Look at those hands. And then he dishes it off to Getzlaf. Great feed from Maroon. That was the best save that Jonas Hiller has made since he entered the game. Another terrific pass by the Anaheim captain, but a better stop by Hiller.
Face off to the left of Hiller, who came in the second period following the 4th goal of the game against Joni Ortio at 9:37 the second. One came off the stick of Jackman, who's out there right now with Thompson and Bork. And now Nate Thompson going to be sent packing from the circle. Well, he's allowed to stay. And he'll oppose Byron. And little Paul Byron wins the draw. Flames have handled themselves quite nicely in the face-off circle in this game. They've won over 50% of the draws. Jackman from behind the net can't get it to the goal. And then knocks it away from Byron, but it caroms out center. Mort brings it right back.
Aggressive shift by Jackman. He's just reckless abandon out there, throwing his body around. We got a penalty coming up here against Calgary. It's going to be a hooking penalty. I think it's going to go against Stajan. And so the Ducks will take a little pressure off of the power.
Our Hyundai game summary, 8 different Ducks on the score sheet, but only 2 have multiple points. Ben Lovejoy with a goal and an assist. Nate Thompson has a couple of helpers. And Pat Maroon has stayed hot. Points in 3 straight games for him. Ducks about to go on the power play, Brian.
Yeah, here's the hook on Stajan. Watch him come into the hands right there. Nate Thompson draws the call, and Stajan will sit. So an opportunity here for the Ducks to create a little bit of breathing room.
Just the second power play of the night for Anaheim. They're 0 for 1, and Getzlaf, Perry, and Maroon start. Getzlaf able to get the puck off the face-off, and now he drives up the right boards with it. Tries to pass across for Perry, deflected out of the zone. Good stick for Michael Backlund.
Yeah, that was well read by Backlund. And everyone knows that Getzlaf's favorite target is Corey Perry.
Maroon uses the dasher to find Perry on the far side. He backhands it to the captain. Alone in front, Maroon! Glove save, Hiller!
Right in the glove of Jonas Hiller. Good puck movement. This Flames penalty killing unit is all about aggressiveness. But what a pass by Getzlaf again, and Pat Maroon shoots it right in the hand to Jonas Hiller.
I'm not sure Maroon realized just how much time he had, but he did try to just get it away quickly. Hiller, a right-handed catching goaltender, has not given up a goal since he came in midway through the second, and he's given the Flames a chance. They trailed 4-0. When Hiller spelled Ordio, it's now 4-2. Anaheim with a minute 25 remaining on the power play. Boy, look at Botman come all the way below the goal line to help keep the puck alive. Maroon to the point, that's covered by Getzlaf, who slides it over. Open is Fowler. Perry has it hop his stick. Giordano attacks immediately from his knees. Perry's pass hops the stick of Getzlaf all the way back where Anderson wanders 30 feet out of his net to play. Flames go for changes on the kill. Maroon leaves it for Botman, who speeds into the Calgary zone. Sammy goes wide. He leads the team with 6 power play goals on the year, including 1 Saturday at LA. Hard around. Botman able to knock it down. Steps into it, and that's deflected out of play by Wideman.
Yeah, and when the shots are there, I like to see the Ducks take them rather than making that perfect play. I really think it's the reason for the turnaround with power play. That went off, actually, the skate of Russell. I thought it went off Wideman at first, but just happened to hit the foot of Russell. Sammy Botman looks up and sees the replay.
Plenty of time left in the power play. 45 seconds left in the penalty to Stajan. And the second power play unit comes on. Kessler with Palmieri, Raquel, Boschma, and Lindholm. And a face-off win by Kessler enables Anaheim to work in the zone. Raquel behind the net to Kessler. Right corner to the point. Boschma gives it right back. Kessler curls to the middle. Right in front, Palmieri jams it in, no goal.
With the referee, the indication from the referee is that the goaltender was jammed inside the net, and it's the reason why this will not count.
Tim Peel was in good position. He waved it off immediately as we get another look.
Well, here's the play. Good one-touch pass, and Palmieri just jams at it. Boy, I don't know. I think that puck was over the line before Jonas Hiller got stuffed in there. Watch this. Right there. No. They're going to rule that the goaltender was not allowed to make a play on the puck because of Palmieri jamming it away at him. It was the point of the stick of Kyle Palmieri right there that pushes Hiller's leg back over the line.
Well, they're over at the scorer's bench, which does not mean that they're going to look at it. Tim Peel talking with the rest of the officials and now both respective captains as Giordano listens in. Getzlaf's already been talked to, and he didn't like what he heard.
Well, I mean, if the ruling is that the goaltender wasn't allowed to make a play on the puck by the official on the ice, that's not reviewable. But the Situation Room in Toronto can say whether or not the puck crossed the line prior to his leg being pushed over the line.
So Peel is over, and he's on the headset now as we take another look from up top.
So here it is. Puck comes down into the crease area. It's underneath Jonas Hiller, and then it's in front of him. And then Giordano is there. The puck gets pushed over the line. Hiller's leg gets pushed over the line by the stick of Kyle Palmieri, and the referee was quite adamant in his call.
Now this is pretty quick. I think Peel will make an announcement that won't change much.
After video review, it has been determined that the call on the ice stands, the goalie's pad was shoved into the net, therefore no goal.
And a lot of times, Brian, the situation room wants to hear what the referee on the ice has to say as to what his ruling was as well.
Johnny, I think the situation room would have overruled and said good goal had that puck crossed the line prior to Kyle Palmieri actually stuffing the pad back inside of the net.
So as a result, 28 seconds remains on the power play, and the faceoff comes outside the zone. A faceoff win for the Flames, and TJ Brodie sends it all the way back. Lindholm forced behind the net. And precious power play time now ticking away. The penalty to Stajan has 10 seconds left. Lindholm flips it in. Kessler charges in after this. Hiller brushes it along. Raquel kicks it back, and Palmieri quickly to the point. Lindholm takes a look. Give and go from Raquel. Great pass side of the net, and that handcuffed Palmieri. He couldn't get the shot away. Stajan out of the boxes behind the defense, but unable to handle the pass cleanly. And Anderson wants to cover her, and now loses it in front. Oh, what a break! It squirted free, and Backlund missed a 4x6. Back comes Kessler. His shot blocked. Raquel couldn't get to it in the slot.
Well, that was adventurous. It looked to me like Anderson was going to freeze the puck. The referee was yelling at him to move it. And the Calgary Flames had an opportunity to pull within one. I don't know how they missed.
Kudler cross ice. Monahan comes up with it from a bad angle right through the goal crease. Kudler sweeps it down low. A quick reversal by Nate Thompson. And that opens up the ice for Fowler. Ahead to Cogliano, who gets steamrolled by Russell. And then Thompson took a little run at him. Chris Russell retreats into Calgary ice with it as we approach the halfway mark of the third period. A thus far scoreless final frame. 4-2 Ducks as they have led all the way. Rolling puck with Anderson will clear the zone himself as he finds Cogliano coming back.
The Ducks have got to be careful here, and they just can't be willing to give the puck back to Calgary.
Mason Raymond handing it back to Diaz, but he had it knocked off the stick. Boy, the D are activating for Calgary right now. As Engelland had to go back and get it, he was the only man anywhere near that puck. His pass misses Raymond, so icing is the call.
Well, here's that last bizarre play down near the Anaheim net. Frederik Anderson covers the puck. It almost looks like he tries to scoop it up with his glove, but doesn't actually get it in the glove. Stajan to Backlund, and Backlund cannot believe that he just missed a wide open net. My goodness. Through the legs of the goaltender, no one in the net whatsoever, and Michael Backlund has a goal off the toe of his stick. What the Ducks are trying to do here, because Calgary is stretching it out, and they've got players in all three zones every time they get control of the puck. When they get full control, Anaheim is sending 4 players back to their blue line. But it allows Calgary to have time to handle the puck.
Corey Perry intercepts, sets up, gets on, score!
What a shot, and what a great pass to Ryan Getzlaf. And this is a little bit about scouting report on Jonas Hiller. Watch where the captain puts his good forecheck from Maroon. Rollback helps keep it alive. And then Corey Perry with the backhanded feed. And boy, what a shot. Good hold by Colby Rollback. And it's Perry to Getzlaf, and the shot is absolutely perfect up and under the bar.
Getzlaf's 15th of the season. Perry will draw an assist, and the lead is 3 again, 5-2 Anaheim. Now halfway through the third period. We'll see if they'll add a second assist for Colby Rollback. If so, that would be his first point as the Ducks. Meantime, play goes on in the Anaheim zone. Postman tried to clear, couldn't get it cleanly as Boma kept it in. Bowman to the slot, and he has it knocked away as Boschman got a stick on it. Up the wing, Bolesky off to the races. Comes in, pulls it in, and his shot went off the skate of Russell. They do give Roback an assist. And back comes Backlund. Out of the Anaheim zone, has his shot blocked by Boschman. Now plays it back to the line. Kept in by Diaz. Backlund pinned to the boards. Diaz tees it up, missed everything. I think he wanted a tip from Boma, but he missed it. Weidman puts it in front. Boma got it loose, and the rebound, score! Joe Colburn, and the Flames get it right back.
Puck bounces into the crease area, and Colburn shows some pretty nice hands. This puck never touches the ice. Watch this. See, Kessler had lost his stick. It created a little bit of chaos. But this puck is just going to be thrown into the crease area. It's tapped up into the air, and then it's a race. Who gets to it first? Francois Beauchemin, Joe Colburn, and boy, he bats it about a foot off the ice in behind Frederik Andersen. So, as Bruce Boudreau pointed out to us earlier today, they just don't quit, this Calgary Flames team.
So Colburn with his 5th of the year. Weidman and Boma, I believe, will draw the assists. And the Flames, less than a minute after Getzlaf made it 5-2, have again made it a 2-goal game. Kudler on a give and go, and Goudreau can't track it down as Thompson leans on it. Monahan circles the net, comes right to Russell, and he missed. Kudler has it again. Russell retreating to the line. He's the open man. Goes wide on the left side. Feeds it in front off the stick from Goudreau. And the Flames are buzzing right now in the Anaheim zone.
There's just 5 men in constant motion for Calgary.
Goudreau misses Diaz, but he keeps it in. Fowler on the end boards trying to get it past Goudreau, but he fails. And he gets some help as Bourque rolls it back to center ice. The Ducks will change. 8:20 left in what has been a entertaining hockey game tonight at Honda Center, to say the least.
Sure has been. Lots of goals.
Mason Raymond trying to spin off a check at center, and the puck is deflected out of play. The teams trade goals less than a minute apart midway through the third. Still a 2-goal advantage for Anaheim. All rights to this broadcast are reserved, and any rebroadcast, recording, retransmission, telecommunication to the public, or other unauthorized use of this broadcast without the express written permission of the Anaheim Ducks is prohibited. Long way to go. Freddie Andersen, we weren't sure would start the third period, and he's still got 8:11 left as Anaheim leads it 5-3.
And I'm watching Freddie Andersen, John. They dropped the puck.
He didn't pick his head up.
His head was still down, and he's really struggling back there inside the Anaheim goal crease.
Hard to know. At the beginning of the third, we saw Ilya Bryzgalov lead the team out. It certainly appeared, at least early in the period, that Andersen was not going to be able to go as Raquel is upended coming out of the zone, and no call. The fans have been asking for calls after Calgary got the game's first 3 power plays. They haven't had a lot of luck. Oh, and Hiller makes a good save on the Vatanen dump in off the stanchion. Raquel gets it back from behind the net, trying to protect. Tapped away by Giordano, but Raquel gets it back, and Maroon weaves his way behind the goal. Pat Maroon trying to turn, change directions on Giordano, gets help from Silverberg behind the net. Raquel in front, trying to find Maroon, knocked away by Hiller. Maroon and Brody battle for it, and Brody slides it over to Giordano, who just lobs it back to center right through the Anaheim defense, and Lindholm careful with it, has it taken away by Colburn. Colburn has one of the 3 goals, gives it to Russell, that doesn't get through. I think Lindholm blocked it. Boy, and this is just a fist fight right now. Getzlaf and Russell tie one another up, puck in the skates of Backlund. Tap down low, and Boma tries to muscle it in front. Andersen swatted it away. Russell pumping with Maroon. Got it to Backlund. Knocked off his stick by Lindholm. There is no space out there. He reverses it, and Getzlaf stretches for Pat Maroon. He's at the end of a shift, though. And he'll carry it as far as he can into the Calgary zone. Drops it to Perry, and Hiller steps out to make the stop.
Good pass by Pat Maroon, and now he scampers over to the Ducks bench.
Goudreau races ahead with Hudler into the Anaheim zone. 6:10 to play in the game, and Hudler pitches it to the net. Blocked in front by Fowler. Bolesky can't find the handle. Mason Raymond does. Throws it to the net. Blocked again, and Fowler will skate it back. Tries to find a lane. Misses Kessler with an aerial pass, and he'll track it deep in the zone. He blocks it away from Diaz. Pileski gets to it. Matt Pileski, he's got an assist in this game. Angles it to the point and gets away from Vatanen all the way down. Flames will take the opportunity to change as Sammy goes back after it. Off the stick of Kessler, he'll get it deep, and Anaheim will make sure. No changes for the Ducks. Kessler can't seal it off on the near wall, and Byron heads to the middle of the ice. Paul Byron into the Anaheim zone, drops it off. Juris with a long wrist shot. Dropped by Anderson, and then covered by the Anaheim netminder. They're battling at Honda Center. 5-3. Anaheim led 3-0. And Rennie Bork, one former Flame to another, sets up Tim Jackman.
Yeah, this is a big goal. You get goals from Tim Jackman, Ben Lovejoy in this game. The depth scoring has been a factor. Bruce Boudreau was despondent about 3 weeks ago, John, when the Ducks just couldn't seem to generate much in the way of offense. They were finding ways to win games. The goals weren't coming easily for them. That has certainly turned around since they've got back to full health.
Well, he loves to roll 4 lines, and when his 4th line can contribute the way they have here tonight. Thompson with 2 assists, Jackman with a goal. That just enables him to run his bench and coach the way he likes to coach. 5th time this year the Ducks have scored 5 goals in a game. And they lead 5-3. Loose puck side of the net, and Brody is denied by Frederick Anderson. A reminder to stay with us for Ducks Live as soon as this one's complete. As always, brought to you by Mazda. It's the post-game show immediately following the conclusion of tonight's game.
4 players on the rush every single time Calgary touches the puck, and there's 4 thoroughbreds coming down that ice. Boy, they've got some speed.
4:55 to go. Shots 32-25 in favor of the Ducks. Russell in favor of the Flames. Russell can't get it through off of one faceoff. And a good bit of work by Silverberg. Just lifted Russell's stick. And that forces the Flames all the way back. Weidman to Colburn. Finds some room on the left side. Puts it up on the glass and in. Lindholm got a stick on it. It squirts to the middle of the ice. Raquel swats it ahead and now inadvertently ices the puck. And that'll bring a whistle with 4.5 left.
The Ducks have been good on defensive zone draws in this game. Kessler just slightly above 500, 4-3. Rickard Raquel, who's going to take this draw right now, has won 3 of 4 draws in the defensive zone. It's never been his real strength as a centerman, but they've done a nice job tonight.
He's been much better in the circle the last 6 or 7 games, well over 50%. Weidman's shot blocked in front. Boy, look at the Flames. They had layers in front as Raymond, Juris, and Jones all went to the slot. Mason Raymond puts it back into the Anaheim zone. Pileski knew the hit was coming, and he's able to allow the puck to squirt all the way back. Boy, now Weidman coughs it up. Nate Thompson is there. Tries to slide it in front for Pileski, who was driving the center lane. It's underneath. Dennis Weidman gets up, tries to glove it away. Got some ice shavings in his eye as he just stood there wiping his face for a moment as the play went on in the corner, and Anaheim has it as a result. Kessler from Pileski in his pass vacates the zone, so Bushman will retreat through neutral ice, and the Flames will change.
A smart play here by Francois Beauchemin. He senses Calgary's changing. He just buys a little bit of time, working on the clock. Anaheim gets pucks in deep.
Pileski gets it to Kessler behind the net. He'll set up shop there. Hands it off, Getzlaf into the slot for Maroon off the post.
What a pass again by Getzlaf. I mean, the vision that he has is just incredible. So much fun to watch, and boy, Pat Maroon's got to be loving life right now.
3rd in the league in assists, Getzlaf. And not hard to figure why when you see him on a night-to-night basis, the way he can pass the puck. Here he comes with Maroon again. Perry's the trailer. Perry, he hit the post. And nobody knows where the puck is. It's out of play.
Both Corey Perry and Patrick Maroon set up by great feeds. First, Maroon, he's trying to go up top. He hits the short side goal post. That's a break for Jonas Hiller. Corey Perry going to the same spot, and he rips it off the crossbar. A couple of big breaks for the goaltender, Jonas Hiller.
He is a huge fan of the plumbing tonight. Is Jonas Hiller. 2:45 left in the game. As the Flames win the draw, but can't clear. Silverberg seals it off, tries to go short side. Hiller held the post. Silverberg gets his own carom behind the net now for Cogliano. Andrew Cogliano finds open ice. He got away from Russell. Cycles it right back. Raquel behind the net. He's content to stay there as well. Trying to pick for him to Silverberg, who now goes behind the net himself. In front for Cogliano. And he fanned on it as it came through the crease.
Terrific shifts back-to-back here for the Ducks as they play down low and control the puck.
Botman stepped up to keep it alive. He'll get it at the near point again. And just keep it on the wall. Down low off the stick of Raquel. And finally, the Flames dislodge it. Boma joined by Colburn, and he loses it at the line on a nice defensive play by Francois Beauchamp. Ducks trying to just tap it out, and Raquel couldn't get it past Giordano. Giordano holds it in a second time.
No goalie.
Sixth attacker on for the Flames. Colburn gets it over. Spaulding save on Backlund made by Anderson.
What a stop. Again, Freddie Anderson.
And the Ducks roll at the length of the ice. It won't go in the empty net. They wave the icing. I beg your pardon. It was Boma that he robbed, not Backlund. And now Jones chips it in. Anderson comes out to play it himself. Hiller on the bench. The extra attacker on for the Flames as they trail by 2 with 1:20 to go. Kessler out of the corner. Just trying to nudge it ahead. Thompson keeps it on the outside. Tipped into the middle for Bolesky. Can't settle it, but he does roll it towards the empty net. And Diaz gets back, or excuse me, Monahan gets back to keep it out. There was 16,000 plus at Honda Center. What's left on their feet here. This is going to be an icing call against the Flames as the clock crawls to under a minute.
Well, what a night this has been for Frederik Andersen, an adventure at times. He has still made 4 or 5 what I call 10 foul saves in this game. He's yielded 3 goals, but boy, he has been called upon here against a very offensive-minded team to make enough big stops to put his team in a position to win once again.
58.4 seconds remain as we take a look at our Land Rover player of the game. Maybe not all over the score sheet offensively speaking. Here's a guy who leads the league in block shots amongst forwards. And you talked about that great passing ability. He's 3rd in the league in assists. He has a goal tonight +2.
John, the bottom of that graphic, points in 20 of the last 23 games. It's the consistency that has so impressed me this season with Ryan Getzlaf. He was runner-up for MVP last year. He's been better this year than he was last year. There is no doubt in my mind. Getzlaf going to the All-Star game is the Ducks' lone representative, but I think he's just had a tremendous season in so many different ways, not just offensively.
He's reached the 50-point plateau as a result of his goal tonight. Hiller has to go back in the Calgary goal, and as soon as the Flames win the draw, he sprints to the bench. Stretch pass deflected into the Anaheim zone. Beauchamp tries to clear it, just barely stays in off the high glass. Perry plays it across the neutral zone. Mason Raymond back to get it. And Mark Giordano throws it into the middle. Raymond in full flight. His shot deflected over top as Beauchamp got a stick on it. Kudler plays it across off an Anaheim glove, and Raymond again has it. Behind the goal, picked up by Kessler. Loose to the far boards. To the line, Weidman's drive drifts over top of the goal. Perry plays it ahead and hit the lines. Then that's a break for Kessler, who hits the empty net. And Calgary's woes will continue at Honda Center, making 20 straight losses in this barn of horrors for the Flames.
Kessler, box number 13. A big lineup on the ice for Boudreau with Perry, Getzlaf, and Kessler. See that puck bounces off of the linesman. It sits flat for Kessler, and he just drills it center cut to salt this one away. Anaheim will head into the All-Star break with the best winning percentage in the National Hockey League. They are red hot at home. They play the majority of their games after the All-Star break on the road, but boy, they have really taken care of business. business here tonight.
Well, these two teams both came into the game with 4-game win streaks. It's the Ducks who lead with a 5-game win streak. And as Brian mentioned, the most points in the NHL, the best win percentage at All-Star break. And for the Flames, they have to continue to hear it, because this is now the 4th longest home win streak against any opponent in NHL history. The Flames have not won in this building in over 11 years.
Yeah, you got to go back a long time. Well, we even got one from 1957 up there. That's how impressive this streak has been against Calgary. So a good team win tonight. The Ducks are going to feel pretty darn good about themselves, deservedly so, as they head into the All-Star break. Another 2 points at Honda Center.
Frederik Andersen and the Ducks fight through it tonight. They build a big lead early and they go on to beat the Flames 6-3. Stay with us. Ducks Live is next.